Well, good morning. You all managed to spring forward and still be here. I'm so impressed. Good for you. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Petra Welds, the spiritual director here, and I'm so ready for spring. Man, I know, really. Okay, we've sprung forward on the clocks. Could we have spring forward in the weather too, please, now? So we're walking through our Step Out in Faith. This is the second week of our Step Out in Faith. Together we pray, and we're moving into the second step of spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. And it's the unification step, and it's the perfect Sunday to be doing this as we are celebrating community and honoring and welcoming our new members today. So we're very, very excited about that.
My name is Dawn Oyedipe. I've been going to church here for about 10 years. So I'm really excited to see the new members. It seems to have flown by. It just feels like yesterday that I showed up here with two very teeny tiny children, one preschooler and a newborn, and they're much bigger now. So people always ask me, how long have you been going to the center? So I just point at my kids and try to figure out how old they are, and that's how I know how long I've been here. Coming here as a new member reminds me a lot. I'm a classical violinist. I started out being trained as a classical violinist. But coming to this church reminded me a lot of going to my first folk music session. And folk music is very different than classical music. In classical music, there's a definite hierarchy of musicians. There's a pecking order. You have a conductor that's in charge of the symphony. You have first chair, second chair, third chair. It's all audition-based. It's highly competitive. And so coming into a folk session with that mindset was very unnerving because I got to the session and I didn't know where to sit. There wasn't an order of chairs. The musicians were in a circle. And I felt very awkward, coming as a first time. I didn't know any of the songs that they played. I know Mozart, but I didn't know the tunes that those musicians were playing. And so I showed up at my first Irish session with a degree in music, but feeling very insecure, and I felt all thumbs because I didn't know how I was going to fit into this group of people that appeared to know what they were doing. So, and I noticed that there was never a point where the song stopped and I could get in. So I approached this circle of people just playing, and nobody said what song they were going to play next. Like the song kind of paused, then they would just jump into the next tune. No one would say, we're gonna do this tune next. There was no pause. Somebody in the group, random person, would just launch into another song. Everybody would look at them and then begin playing that song immediately. And there wasn't any sheet music. So it was very unnerving. I'm used to having music in front of me and very organized, and then the conductor says, we're gonna play this song, here's how fast we're gonna play it. And it was very nerve-wracking, really. But I unpacked my instrument, I approached the circle, I didn't know where to sit, there was no empty seats, but then magically the circle just opened up and an empty seat appeared, and then they nodded at me to sit in it. And so and I noticed this continued. People would leave the group, the circle would get smaller. The music never stopped. It just continued on and on. And I also noticed that I didn't know whether I was going to be a beginner or a novice. It really didn't matter where I was sitting because I was in the circle. And the music continued regardless of whether I knew the song or not. I noticed that there was old grandpas that knew all the songs, and there was little bitty children in the circle that only knew a few of the songs, but they could all participate in the way that they felt comfortable. And everybody was learning from each other. I remember felt humbled that I have a degree from the University of North Texas, and I can play the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto, and this little 5-year-old is out-fiddling me on this little tune. And I just was floored and humbled by that. And so it was an amazing experience. I want to say, we're talking this week about unification, unity, and being a part of the allness of God. And I definitely, playing folk music, have really experienced that unity for myself, because I learned that the music goes on, and you are the music, and you're listening to the music, you're watching the music, and you're in the center of the music all at the same time. And so is everybody around you as well. Even the observers are participating because they're clapping and tapping and dancing and shouting things and bringing you more drinks, and the whole thing just flows together. So even if you're not playing, you're still part of it and you're still participating in the unity of it. So in order to bring you into the session a little bit, I chose some Irish tunes that I've played in the past. And the first one is Planxty Irwin, which is a ballad, and then the next two are The Wind That Shakes the Barley and Boil the Breakfast Early. Very early.
Dawn, Andrew, Jonathan, Matt, thank you so much. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. And how wonderful, as Dawn described that, what an amazing thing to think about, that there's this circle of people that are playing, and people are moving in and out of the circle, and the music just keeps on going. The music just keeps on playing. And whether you know the tune or not, you just sit in there and you allow it to move you, and you move with it. And wow, like that's what it means to be in community. That's what it means to be in unity with the one. The one's like the music, always going, isn't it? And we're always participating in playing it. We're allowing it to move in, through, and as us. How many of us feel like we're sitting outside the circle? Good. No, good for you. How many of us feel like, well, they all know what they're doing, so we'll just stand here and watch? Yeah. As we move into the spiritual mind treatment, as we move into prayer, one of the profound things that is so amazing about the process of this type of prayer is that it's not just for the purpose of achieving anything or healing something or manifesting something, although, of course, prayer is very much about that. But it's also about reacquainting ourselves with the truth of what we know about who we are. And so as we move into this conversation this morning, that's what we're really asking ourselves. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Not who I am, but who you are. Do you know who that I am is as you? When we move ourselves into prayer, when we invite ourselves into an ongoing practice of prayer, we discover over time that it's this, we develop a deeper relationship, not only with the one, as we talked about last week, but actually with ourselves as well. Ernest Holmes writes this in The Science of Mind. Prayer is essential, not to the salvation of the soul, for the soul is never lost, but to the conscious well-being of the soul that does not understand itself. I think we go through many identity crises in our lives. I certainly have. I looked back at my own life. Don't you feel like sometimes you look back there and you're like, that was a lifetime ago? And that was an even further lifetime ago. And then I see pictures of myself when I'm 16 or 17, and I think, holy mackerel, those should be burnt, all those pictures, right? Did we really think we looked that good wearing whatever that was we were wearing? And then I've watched my son try on identities. He did the whole goth thing, the emo goth thing, and man, he had it going on black from head to toe. And for years, that's all I could buy him. I mean, I even bought him black Christmas ornaments, for goodness sakes. It was like, okay, we're doing we're discovering what our identity is and who we are, and it's important. And we try all these different identities on, and yeah, we do the same thing at a deeper level with our spiritual practice, our spiritual understanding. We seek to discover, what is our true identity? What is the identity of our essential nature? What is that? Who is that? Teilhard de Chardin says, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. That's the truth of who we are. And to begin to understand that, our prayer practice begins to mine a deep space within us in which we begin to not just intellectually understand it, but understand it in our hearts, understand it as an experience of who we are. So prayer is to help us understand ourselves. Now, the other thing we can say that Ernest Holmes says about prayer or treatment opens up the avenues of thought, expands the consciousness, and lets reality through. Opens the thought, expands the consciousness. It clarifies the mentality, removes the obstruction of thought, and lets in the light. It removes doubt and fear in the realization of the presence of spirit, and is necessary while we are confronted by obstructions or obstacles. We already live in a perfect universe, but it needs to be seen mentally before it can become a part of our experience. That's what he says about affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. Notice that there's not a lot of God in it. Our understanding We do our prayer not because we're doing anything to the divine. Remember last week we talked about in recognition, we begin to explore and experience, discover the reality of this one infinite, beautiful, loving, conscious reality that is the divine ground of all being. We recognize it, we remember it. And then we have to remember that it's not just out there, but it's also in here. And so we are using our spiritual mind treatment as a way of opening our consciousness, clearing out our false ideas, moving to that place where we understand not only the truth about the one, but the truth about ourselves as the one made manifest, as the incarnation. Meister Eckhart says the Father is always begetting the only Son. Not that there was only one begotten Son, but the Father is always begetting the only Son in, through, and as each one of us. The message of the teachings of Jesus is the incarnation of the divine as us, here and now. Not sometime in the past, not sometime in the future. So we clear our mentality, open our consciousness, make way in our hearts, make room for this understanding about the truth of who we are. Finally, Ernest Holmes says this about prayer. As a result of right treatment, the mold formed in the subjective mind by the treatment makes possible a concrete manifestation. The treatment is an intelligent energy in the invisible world. It is a spiritual entity working through the law of mind, and it is an actual force now consciously directed. Therefore, it must produce specific results. So our spiritual mind treatment is a spiritual practice. It's an opportunity for us to deepen and carve out and experience in our bodies, in our a lived experience of the truth of who we are, and it is a possibility, an opportunity for us to consciously choose the direction of our life, of our intention, of our manifestation. Spiritual mind treatment is doing all of those things. And we can engage in spiritual mind treatment in our form of affirmative prayer. We can engage in it at every level or at any level based on what's going on in our life at the moment and what is it we need. So you go to a practitioner here on a Sunday morning, you call them up, you put in a ministry of prayer because there's an obstruction or obstacle, as the previous quote said, and we need to heal it, we need to handle it. Or there's a new business, a new venture, a new house, a new love, a new something that we want to experience, and we want to manifest more of that good. And so we do our prayer. And we expect results. We expect conditions to change. We expect consciousness to be cleared out, old emotions to be released, and we expect something new to manifest. And we can also use our treatments, our prayer, as a deep and deliberate spiritual practice. These first two steps of recognizing the truth about the oneness and recognizing who we are in that oneness. This is a profound spiritual practice to deliberately engage our imagination in the possibility that this might actually be true. Not just words. I'm one with God. There's only one life. That life is God. That life is my life now. I'm only one. It's like blah, 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 right? And how many of us feel like we're sitting outside the circle? Well, yeah, it's for those people who are already spiritually involved or who evolved, or those people who had their lives together, or, well, it's when I'm at my best, but it's surely not when I'm at my worst. And we're constantly removing ourselves from the circle in which the music is playing. And so we begin to actively engage our imagination with not only the recognition step as we talked about last week, but now to begin to imagine what does it feel like to be the incarnation of the one? What does that feel like? What does that look like? What does that seem like? How might we experience it? So, spiritual mind treatment begins with recognition and moves on to unification. Sometimes I don't resonate with the word unification because it sounds like we're unifying with something, when actually what we're doing is revealing to ourselves the unity that is already present. Just like here in community, right? With unity, we're in community together. We're already present for each other. We're already sharing our love. We're sharing our lives, our support. And we can feel and sense our belonging to each other. Unification, this moment in prayer is when we remember this as the truth of our being. And there's something so profound if we will think about it in terms of identification. Where do I identify my I that I am? Now I can identify it over here. I'm an Aries. What do you expect? I mean, really, okay? I'm a blonde. I'm moderately successful. I'm, the list goes on. I have these failings. I have these shortcomings. I have this dysfunction. Can I tell you about the dysfunction in my past? I have this family that I grew up in. Do you see? And all of that becomes the way in which I identify myself. I am a person who has all these experiences and has all this and does all this. And you see that can become the thing we walk around in the world, just as my son clothed himself in black from head to toe, and he was a goth. That was his identity, and therefore he belonged. Well, I'm dysfunctional, therefore I belong to all the other dysfunctional people. Right? I'm an Aries, so I belong to all the other Aries. I'm whatever. And you see all these ways that we identify ourselves. The challenge, of course, with all of that is our human experience. And if we identify ourselves with our finite human experience, then what do we have to work with but that finite reality? And as Chardin says, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're actually spiritual beings having that human experience over there. That human experience over there is like a coat we put on. It's one we weave through our lives, and we stitch on it, and we paint on it, and we wear it, and we become confused, and we think that we are our coat. And that when you see my coat, then you'll know who I am. When I look at my coat, then I can see, then I know this about me, and I know that about me. But we're going to eventually take the coat off, aren't we? We're going to transition out of this life. We came into this life as a child of God, and we're going to move out of this life as that same radiant being. And we're going to leave our coat behind. So who is it that puts the coat on and paints it and weaves it? That's the identification. That's the place where we want to find our locus of identity, our sense of self. To understand that the self, the true self, the I that I am, this is the walk that Jesus walked. When you see me, you see the Father. Not you see me and you see the Father. No, you see me and you see the Father. I and the Father are one. The Father within does the work. Not the Father out there that you think I should pray to. No, the Father in here does the work. And our spiritual mind treatment, our recognition and unification, it clears the way. It opens the space so that we stand there uncloaked, unclothed by our human reality. And we stand in the spiritual truth of who we are. Do you see? This is the process. We talked last week about spiritual mind treatment as the art and the science of shifting consciousness, of moving us to a new place. So we do the work, and it doesn't matter what the words are. Some of our practitioners are very flowery. Others of our practitioners are very much to the point. Some of us use very, mystical language. Other people use very practical metaphors. It doesn't matter. Do you see there's no magic in the words? It's whatever words help us move to the place where we are identifying ourselves, not with the cloak, not with the human stories, not with the outer human reality, but with the truth of who we are. And we can say, I am one. I am the divine made manifest. And in metaphysics, we get a bad rap. We say, I am one with God. And then we can shorten it. We can say, I am God, and everybody gets offended. Right? How can you say you're God? You're not God, you're just Petra. Well, and quite frankly, I wouldn't say that either. I wouldn't say I'm God. Because you know what? I gave up managing the universe a long time ago. It's way, way, way too much trouble. I would leave that to God. Thank you very much. Yeah, really. But you know what? God is all that I am. There's not a bit of me that's not God. Not a cell, not an atom, not a thought, not a moment. There's not one bit of me that's not God expressing. Do you see? So all that we are is the divine made manifest. This is the playground of the divine. And we are the place where the incarnation happens. And we're the ones who are saying, this way we want to express life. So just as last week we sought for metaphors and images that helped us really get a hold of what does it mean that there's this infinite reality, here in this step of treatment we have to do the same. What does it mean that the macrocosm and the microcosm are identical? The divine and the divine. How do we get a hold of that as a felt, lived experience, not just nice metaphysical words that make us feel better or that make us feel worse because we don't actually really believe it? So I'm going to invite you this week to really explore what way will you know that this is true? Ernest Holmes says in our companion book, this is our companion book, Can We Talk to God? He says, many people make a mistake in thinking it is enough to claim that God is all. We must realize there is one power, one God, one all, one life, and that life is in me now. I am a manifestation of that one. You bet, sister. Absolutely. And that's what we have to know over and over and over again. And do you see our prayer life continues to mine that experience for its richness so that we begin to actually not only imagine that that's possible, but we actually begin to believe it. And then when we talk next week about speaking our word, do you see we're not speaking our word from over here inside all this stuff and all the I don't know and I'm not sure and I can't do it and blah, 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 blah. You see, we're actually speaking it from over here. Wait, I'm the incarnation of the one. And we speak our word from that place. You see, these two steps of treatment, they build us the platform upon which we are then going to speak the word of authority. And we become the place where the incarnation gets to choose and play for the delight of its own experience. So this week I want you to really spend some time seeking out the metaphor and the image that will allow you to grab a hold of what does it mean? I am an individualized expression of the one. I'm an incarnation of the divine. I'm a place where this one is making itself manifest, where this infinite reality, I'm actually sourced from that, and somehow that's pouring in through and as me. There are so many metaphors we might get a hold of, so I really want to invite you to spend time this week working on that. And so if you're willing to do that, you're going to join us in committing to stepping out in faith. So that means you're going to get you're going to get your phones out right now. This would not be a rhetorical action. This would be actual action. You're going to get your phone out right now, and we're gonna tag ourselves. So you're gonna if you don't know, you get to Facebook and then you search. You do the little magnifying glass, right, like a detective, up there on the left-hand corner, and you click on that and you search for Center for Spiritual Living Dallas. There'll be others, which is really cool. They're all over the place. Center for Spiritual Living, and if you have the fat finger syndrome like I have, you might have to do it more than once. Center for Spiritual Living, and you get, and you pull it up, okay? Center for Spiritual Living Dallas. Mine is very slow. It was really slow at the first service too. I don't know why that is. Because we're all on at the same time. Is that it? We could be like Ellen and we could crash Twitter. Let's. Okay, so we're patiently waiting. And when Center for Spiritual Living Dallas comes up, we're going to click on it, and and right at the top there should be this image. I commit to step out in faith by unifying myself with the source of all. Is anybody on yet? Are we all waiting? Oh, good. It's 2 down. Okay, the second one down. You're going to find this image. Okay, the second one down. And then you're going to click on that image. All right? So when you click on that image, you bring the image up. Now, is there anybody, so do you know how to tag yourself on the image? This is what we want you to do. Tagging yourself is the way in which you commit to step out in faith this week. So how you tag yourself, do you have the image? I'm still waiting. Being patient. I'm one with the phone. One with the phone. Okay. Okay, somebody can, I do tell people, please don't tag other people. Please tag only yourself. But if you're up, you can, I think I should already be there. Okay, so when you get to the picture, to this image, down in the left-hand corner, you'll see what looks like a little tag, like a little luggage tag, like a little tag like when you buy something. Click on it, and that will allow you to tag yourself. So then you click on the image again, and you'll get a bar, and you type your name in there. You type in your name, and you click done, and you will have tagged yourself. If you're not able to do this now, we can do this over lunch. You can do it tonight. Okay? So what we want to have is to have all 200 of us that were here this morning, 250 of us that were here this morning to tag this page. If you say, I am willing to step out in faith and commit to practicing this unification with all, however that looks, whatever that looks like. And if you can't tag it right now, you may have to come back. Okay, so to go deeper into this, you're going to go on Wednesday night with Christine and Sherry, and every week we're going to go deeper into the prayer and the things that we've talked about on Sunday. They're going to take you deeper with our book, Can You Talk to God? And then the other thing is, because it's together we pray, it's not just our prayer, but it's our prayer collectively as a group. That's also really powerful. We're going to invite you into a CSLDallas Sangha. And so this is an opportunity for us to pray together, for us to practice prayer and to pray for each other and to have the synergy of group prayer. So what we need is for today, for people to sign up as Sangha starters. Renee, who you saw helping me up here this morning, she's got a table over there, and she's signing up Sangha starters. What that means is you're willing to host a Sangha for 2 months in your home to get it going. After that, your group will decide where you want to meet and how you want to meet and that sort of thing. And so you go over there and you sign up your name and your address, area of town, and say, I'm willing to be a Sangha starter. And then for the next 3 weeks, we're going to have all of those listed out, and we're going to invite everybody else in the community to sign up for a Sangha. 6 to 8 people who will get together on a monthly basis and pray together. We will, on the last Sunday, on the 30th, we'll teach you what to do and how to be a Sangha, and so that you'll be very comfortable and very confident in that experience. If you are already a Sangha, we'd love to have you sign up and just say, we have a Sangha, so we know who's included. And if you want to get a group of people together and sign up as a group, as a Sangha, you can do that. Or you can just see who's available in your area, sign up once we have them all set up next week. So if you're interested in being a Sangha starter, please do sign up with Renee across the way. It's out of my Sangha that TSRW came, our theme for the month. This stuff really works. I have to stop and say, how can I say that on Sunday morning? So this stuff really works when you work it. When you work it, this stuff really works. TSRW. So we're working it. We're going to work it all month in our prayer, and then we're going to work it in our Sangha groups, and we're going to keep working it all year so that we actually deepen in our experience of manifesting and demonstrating, but even more importantly, we deepen in understanding who and what we are and how it is that we are participating and contributing to bringing heaven on earth. So I want to close with some words from Ernest Holmes. I'm going to invite Andrew to come up here. This is from the Holmes papers. We're reading this and from whence we came. This is Ernest Holmes. Just invite you to close your eyes with me as we go within. So let's try this. And know that we are one with the eternal and ineffable presence, the divine spirit. We are one with all the love and beauty and peace and presence and power that there is in the universe. It is what we are. Thou hast made us. Thine we are, and we are that which thou art, and thou art that which we are. There is one life. That life is God. That life is our life. That life is perfect. Infinite and eternal peace, ineffable beauty, stillness, silence, tranquility. The limitless strength of the force and energy that supports the universe. The love that eternally gives it of itself. With all this, we identify ourselves. With all this, we align ourselves. With all this, we remember that this is who we are. And so it is.